what's the proper way to think about 9/11? 20 years on, and with all the hindsight in the world, what's the lesson we should have learned from that day? In David McGowan's Program to Kill, he points out the fact that people who have been severely traumatized are easier to hypnotize. And by hypnotize, he simply means to put someone into a dissociative state. The most severe of the dissociative disorders is dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short, though it was once called multiple personality disorder, and in almost all cases is caused by psychological trauma so severe that the traumatic episode cannot be integrated into the experiences of the core personality. By far, the most common cause of DID is early childhood trauma, usually, but not always resulting from horrific abuse by a parent or other adult guardian. He quotes from the book Brainwashing and the Cults, an expose on capturing the human mind by psychiatrist and hypnotist Paul Verdier. It must be accepted that brainwashing is now being used here in the United States by devious persons with personal gain in mind. And I'm going to go back to quoting Program to Kill now. By Verdier's account, the objective of the would-be brainwasher is to access those areas of the brain that are outside the individual's conscious control. This is accomplished, the doctor explained, by circumventing the normal inhibiting response of the cerebral cortex so that an individual's voluntary conscious self-control, or their will, be bypassed or short-circuited. In order to disable what Verdier referred to as the brain's cortical block, all of the following were recommended: alcohol, euphoric drugs, isolation, solitary confinement, and the most dramatic and unique item in the brainwashing arsenal, hypnosis. All of these brainwashing techniques, significantly, have been exhaustively researched by the CIA. And one day I'll probably go into the history of the CIA, but man, that'll be like a multi-part series, so I'm really putting it off. Verdier went on to explain that in order to achieve truly lasting states of brainwashing, or mind control, it is necessary to subject the victim to profound and deep emotional states. The recommended states are fear, shock, and anxiety, all of which have an intense disinhibitive effect on the human brain. Even more effective is pain, because, according to the eminent neurologist Dr. Penfield, sensations of pain from the muscular sensory system enter the subcortical brain regions directly. Verdier left no doubt that pain and fear are the most useful items in the MK Ultra toolbox. McGowan's proposal deals with children, as they are the primary focus of his book, but the concept is still there to be used as a lens to look at other traumatic events in the U.S. All around us, 24/7, we're on a 10,000 calorie a day diet of fear. We have a panic porn addiction. We shovel it into our faces as fast as we can. Take the 2008 recession. Suddenly, without any warning signs that anyone could have ever possibly predicted, our housing market collapses. And what do? Well, we have to act right now. That much is certain. But we acted irrationally. We gave money and power to those who shouldn't have it. Oh, healthcare suddenly needs fixing now. People are dying in the streets, damn it. We must act now. Oh, I know. Let's try and pass this absolute abortion of a law through called Obamacare. And everybody rushed in to vote it through. We had to do something. Right now. It was an emergency. And inhibitions be damned. After the Parkland shooting, what did we see? Unbiased coverage of the events and then the reporters went home? No. The first people they shoved in front of the cameras were the victims, who were all, conveniently for them, little attention-hungry libtards. Not only was this a tragedy that needed to be reported on, but we had to do something about this right now. Enough playing around. You get the message out while the fear and panic and grief is still hot. That's the goal of every single story in the media. It's to manipulate you through fear and panic, whether the truth is there or not. Now, I'm not going to say that the American government did 9/11 on purpose, because I feel that tragedies happen on their own often enough that the government doesn't have to create anything, and the fact that I'm a little ignorant of all the ways I'm sure the U.S. was involved in the events leading up to 9/11, and I'm sure there are some really uncomfortable truths waiting for me there. But what I will say is that it's clear now, just through my own life experience, that the government uses these tragedies and events to benefit themselves over and over. And 9/11 was just the first one in my lifetime, and arguably the most severe. I'm old enough to remember that day. I remember how it felt. I remember feeling how scared everybody was, not knowing if there was going to be other attacks, not even knowing if it was an attack at first, not knowing who did it. Wait, the planes were hijacked? That means the terrorists were the first people to hit the buildings. And that is some extreme stuff to process when you're a kid. It was a very confusing time, and the feeling of strength that Bush exuded, that we were going to find the guys who did this and take care of the problem because that's who we are, all those things felt really good. It's hard to put into words how united America was on this. The authorization for use of military force in Afghanistan, just 3 days after 9/11, passed 420-1 in the House and 98-0 in the Senate. But 20 years on, what have we gotten in return? Not much. And that's a topic for another day. But if you would have asked people 20 years ago if they wanted a TSA that does what it currently does, and if they wanted to be spied on and monitored in every single way, and have an intelligence agency that has just blown up and exploded and gone rampantly feral in the last 20 years, and that abuses its power on the daily, they would have said no. We used to have real privacy concerns in this country. And conversely, if you would have asked the terrorists if they were okay with how much we currently punish and diminish ourselves, they would of course be enthusiastic about it. And ironically, if there was a terrorist attack to spy on us and control our airports with an iron fist of stupidity, to violate our rights, our government would fight to stop them to do those things. It's like, hey, that's my little brother. Nobody bullies him except me. In the long run, the terrorists won. They got us. They scared us about the boogeyman in the closet, and now we're like a person with OCD who can't move on with their day until they open and close that door 17 times. Was 9/11 a real tragedy? Absolutely. I hope you don't get the sense that I don't feel the full weight of how traumatic that event was. But that's exactly my point. It's how the government handles these tragedies. And it's how they frame them, and it's how they present the problem and solution to us, and it's how they use them against us and manipulate us to give them more power. That's the problem. As Trump said, we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem. And that's what is allowed to happen when the public is in a fear-induced state. We let the cure be worse than the problem because we're not thinking. We let the deep state, who is controlled by the left, have access to our information, our locations, our conversations. We let the government drone strike us without warrants on our own soil, just blindly having faith that these abuses of power won't be turned on us in the future. It is literally a zero-sum game. We gain more security, quote unquote, but we lose more liberty. My girlfriend said to me the other day, "You think everything is a liberal myth." And that's because, well, it is. I treat every story like it's being told from a compulsive liar, and I have the history of being 100% vindicated on those hunches. I tell everyone the COVID panic porn doesn't work on me, and because of that, naturally, I'm resistant to the insane prescriptions that they have prepared for us in the future. But if I were whipped up into a panic over it, if I believed everything the media presented me with, like most people do, my behavior would most likely change. So that's the lesson of 9/11. In times of tragedy, we cannot afford to let our liberties go because the people that will swap out our liberty for safety will never give it back because they're corrupt. And it's funny, conservatives can see this so clearly with gun control or COVID, but they rarely will say this about 9/11. But yet it's just an objective fact that it happens. Take Nicholas Fuentes. He was put on the no-fly list for simply being a Trump supporter. And that ban is facilitated through the TSA framework. Is that what we signed up for when we wanted airport security against radical Islamic terrorism by foreigners? Will that be used against people who won't take the vaccine? Will that be used more broadly against people of certain political leanings? I'll let you answer those questions for yourself. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. If you like this video and type of content, consider liking this video or maybe subscribing. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.